Well, the computer says 6:31, but
Yep.
shall we?
My watch says 6:30.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and call to order the Thursday, September 9, 2021 board meeting for Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Roll call.
Louis Gorwitz,
Present.
Howard Heffelfinger,
Present.
David Moser,
Present.
Dana Lehman, Steve Finney,
Present.
Ted Kleckers,
That's up.
Dennis Mauer.
Present.
So we'll entertain a motion to excuse Dana Lehman from the meeting. She did notify Chris of her absence. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Motion carries. Okay, public comments, please.
That we have representatives from the Scioto Area Cooperating Association regarding a request for a grant. So if you would like to come to the table.
Take this.
Good evening. I am Sylvia Chelp, and I am the manager of Alum Creek Lake for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So a little bit about my role. I manage and operate the dam for Alum Creek Lake, as well as the recreation facilities directly below the dam and the visitor center to the west of the dam. The rest of the park is owned by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, but leased out to the state of Ohio to operate. A little bit of the breakdown. Was it 3 years ago or 2?
2.
2 years ago, this is Mark Rawdon, president of the Scioto Area Corps Cooperating Association, and he came to volunteer for us a couple of years ago and has since created the Cooperating Association.
The federal agencies can't do business. They need a nonprofit business partner in order to do things like raise money, pursue grants, sell pop. We now have pop vending machines for people to, and after 48 years, when I started working there, Sylvia asked me if I would start the association so the community could take more advantage of all the resources available through the Army Corps of Engineers. And so we incorporated in 2019. The Thomas R. Gross Foundation funded our founding in our first 2 fiscal years. We're hoping they will renew that this month for our 3rd fiscal year. And we've got several other grants. Unfortunately, the situation at Alum Creek has allowed very bad accessible conditions.
Yeah. Real
and
quick.
That's been one of my big things.
Yeah, I mean, we both really believe that the park should be accessible for everyone to come to. So can you guys just raise your hands if you've been to our below dam recreation area where the 3 picnic shelters are? Have you been to the restrooms there?
Yes.
Can you get a wheelchair in there?
No.
No. Can't even get them in the building as it stands currently. So I took over as manager 4 years ago. The vast majority of my funding has to go to maintaining and operating the dam. Very little of the budget actually goes to the park facility. Now, this year I have, as my boss put it, stolen some money from our budget to work on accessibility. We have new curbs at the visitor center. We're working on the exhibits there. And this winter, our biggest goal is to make the restrooms accessible. We will lose a toilet on each side of the restroom in our below dam recreation area, as well as our visitor center. But until we can raise enough funds to actually build a new building, that's what we've come up with to make sure that we can provide restroom facilities. I have a 6- and 8-year-old, and my 6-year-old's right over there. They know why I'm working extra right now, and they agree. It's sad that we have a public park that not everyone can use the restroom in.
So, we've put together this project. Most of the money is coming from the Army Corps of Engineers. They'll provide the majority of the money. I believe it's $17,000, and they're asking for $3 in assistance. I think it'd be wonderful to have the Delaware County Developmental Disabilities Council recognized for contributing to improving the park. It's important for us all to be partners.
Right. I really started a big push for this at the end of July after attending the Center for Disability Empowerment conference that they had. Learned a lot there and made some really great connections. And that was my biggest point of going to that conference, was try to meet people that could become partners with us. And within a couple weeks of that, Rich Wagner with CDE came out and did a site assessment for us, helped us develop our priority list for projects so that we know what we need to focus on this year, what we should put off maybe next spring, and things like that. And after that visit, Chase Waite, if you all came by, we discussed our accessibility and inclusivity plan, and kind of fine-tuned some details a little bit. And now we're just trying to charge forward and really make these improvements. It is the end of our fiscal year, and our budget does run extremely tight, so I was able to secure some funding, but it's not everything we need. And that's why we're asking for some support from the community, so we can make sure that we can provide these restrooms beginning of next recreation season.
Are there any questions or anything else you wanted to add about, because I see that we have that on our agenda for later to consider.
Yes. And I did include some drawings of the existing restroom facility, so you can see how it's set up now.
Yeah. Any questions?
So you said if all goes well at the beginning of next recreation season. If all goes well, when are these done? When's it all open for business?
We expect to start work in October.
Okay.
Basically, as soon as this recreation season slows down enough that we can shut the restroom and put porta-johns out without rebellion.
Right.
We will close the restrooms and start gutting them. So it's just as quickly as we can get stuff done. We have contractors lined up for some of the work already. That way, because we know everything's taking longer lead times right now, getting supplies and materials has been a bit harder. So we've got the ball rolling. We just need some help pushing it to that finish line. And we're actually hoping to make these year-round restrooms. That way they'll be open for the whole year instead of just 6 to 8 months out of the year.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll get that mic back.
Okay, we need to.
Oh, we have another. Oh, yes. Okay, great.
Keep the staff up?
Sorry.
Yeah.
The other one's been closed for so long that we gotta have that one.
I know.
Okay. All right. Moving on to introductions. Chris, we have Derek Thomas first.
Yes. Derek, if you could come forward and have a seat and introduce yourself to the board, please. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good. My name is Derek Thomas. I was hired back in August 9th, I believe I started as an SFA here. I previously worked in Clark County and Cuyahoga County as well. Very happy to be here. My spare time, I like hanging out with my little Chihuahua and go on lots of walks. He had a good incident with the skunk last night because he did not get to it. So I'm very thankful for that. I love traveling, so COVID's got to put a damper on that right now. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
You noted that I noted that you like to cook. So what's your favorite type of cooking?
I'll try to cook anything. My Saturdays are consumed with Food Network and trying to test out new recipes. But I love Italian food. So I'll try.
Oh yeah, after my own heart. Yes.
I appreciated glamping.
Yeah.
Glamping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I want to sleep outside. I love camping, but I have to have the best land and everything. At a season.
Great. Well, Well, thanks so much, Derek. Welcome aboard. It's a pleasure to have you. And we'll move on to Mike Dancho.
And Mike, if you could come up and introduce yourself to the board again and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello again. My name is Mike Dancho. Again, nice to see you. I want to express how thankful I am for this opportunity to actually work for the board. This field, in general, is very personal to me. I have a almost 2-year-old daughter, and she receives services. And so I've worked in this field long before her, but for those of us who are family members or who are parents, we understand how children change our lives. They make us better people, and I'm a better person because of her. I love to be outside. I am probably what you would call a certified redneck. I like to be outside, I like to fish, I like to hunt, I like to do all those things. I like country music. But again, just love to be outside, and I love to be with my family. And again, I just want to express again how thankful I am for being here.
So do you have a hunt property you can take me to?
I don't. That's a bucket list.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
But if you know any.
Do you just go to public lands then, or?
I do go to public lands.
Wow.
I normally bow hunt because gun season on public land is not.
Less wackos out there than in gun season, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Great. Mike, welcome aboard.
Thank
Pleasure
you
to
very
have
much.
you. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Right, great. We'll move along to the next agenda item, the approval of the minutes for the August 12, 2021 board meeting. Are there any questions, corrections, or issues with those meeting minutes? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a motion to that effect, please? Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Moving on to the financials. Jarrett.
Good evening, board members. I'm going to go over the August summary of the financials. Cash to date, we have total revenues of $26.6 million, total expenditures of $15.2 million, and an operating fund balance of $36 million. Our Medicaid and our severance and our capital improvement fund have not changed. Revenues for the month of August, Help Me Grow, was $63,000 for July. We did receive our second levy installment for $10 million. We received our TCM of $136,000, our Title 20 of $19,000, and we also received the CCA funds that we approved at the last board meeting that will be passed through to the housing court. Notable expenditures, we had some Leadership Delaware for $2,000, some website design for $7,000. We had some HVAC update to our controls for $7,000. We also paid our levy collection fees of $127,000, and we also sponsored the Synergy Conference.
Tell me what Leadership Delaware was.
It's a leadership group. It focuses on partnerships inside of Delaware County, and we send 3 members each year.
This is chamber or?
Yeah, to the chamber.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And at the end of August, we are 1.8% under budget. However, we are trending right now above 2019 and 2020, and I see that trend will continue through the end of the year. Any questions on the financials?
Seeing no questions, then we'll entertain a motion to approve the financials as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. Who got the second there? Thanks, Dan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. We'll move along to the Ethics Council report. The Ethics Council did meet prior to this meeting here on September 9, 2021. There were 4 staff requests that were reviewed with no known conflicts, and there were also 2 direct service contracts reviewed with no known conflicts, those being for Happy Hands OT LLC and BNS Healthcare Services LLC. Are there any questions regarding the Ethics Council report? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the Ethics Council report. Thank you. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. On to new business. Resolution for continuity of operations plan.
So for those of you that were on the board back in 2020, when the pandemic started with COVID-19, the board passed a resolution regarding a continuity of operations plan permitting me to supersede policy and make decisions without board action if the situation would warrant due to the flow of the pandemic and just how we really couldn't predict sometimes from one day to another what would have to happen. What I'm asking for today is just to renew this resolution, again, because it's been over a year, and although we had no end date on the previous resolution, as we see that we are heading into some precarious times, I think it would be helpful just for the board to be aware, first of all, that we have this resolution, and then second of all, to reaffirm it, as we really can't predict what's going to happen in the future.
When you're asking for a year continuation or just indefinite?
There's no end date to this, like there was no end date to the other one, and I think that we're just going to keep revisiting it, and then once we are no longer in the pandemic, we'll ask the board to remove it. If you feel comfortable with the date, I have no problem with that as well. I'm bringing this to the board because the other one not only did not have an end date, I just think it's important that the board know that we do have this resolution.
Right.
And as the situation warrants, I've always let the board know when I've had to supersede policy or make changes in different things, especially in operations, I would just feel more comfortable keeping it very public.
Would you like an end date, or
No.
are you comfortable?
I'm
Everyone comfortable with just kind of it's open-ended, but obviously, this is just a reaffirmation of that resolution. Okay.
I think it's responsible, I think, I don't know, like, a sensible way to revisit it, to me, we're all right now, so maybe towards the turn of the year, we can kind of just, it seems like Chris is tracking it, so she's brought it to our attention, I forgot about it, so I'm glad it's here tonight, so that would seem sensible to me. Because maybe in a shorter time period from now, to revisit it one more time, just as a check-in.
Would you like us to revisit in January?
Can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Unless
the turn of the year.
vehemently disagree.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see where things are at with
Right.
the pandemic, so.
Right.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and read the resolution into the record. And we're requesting a resolution to authorize the superintendent or designee to have decision-making power with respect to all necessary actions to ensure the continuity of board operations during the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. This decision-making power shall include, but not be limited to, taking all necessary actions regarding board personnel, staffing assignments, agency protocol, facility use and operations, and procedure related to services provided and individuals served without requiring prior board approval. This resolution is continuing in nature and is meant to promote and protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people we serve and their families, board staff, providers, and the Delaware County community. I'm requesting that there is a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Thank you, Chris. And we have our proclamation of recognition. Chris, did you want to say anything, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
just briefly, we recognize as a state September 12th through September 18th as Direct Support Professional Appreciation Week, and we know that we could not do our work without the dedicated direct support professionals that we have in Delaware County. They are vital. Without them, nothing happens for the people that we serve and support. So as we were going to go in front of the commissioners on Monday for a resolution, I thought it would be most important that our board have a proclamation of recognition for our direct support professionals.
Any questions regarding the proclamation? Okay. I'll go ahead and read it into the record, and we'll request a motion to approve at the end. Whereas the mission of the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities, DCBDD, is for all people to achieve their full potential. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize direct support professionals, or DSPs, without whom DCBDD could not effectively achieve its mission. And whereas DSPs are a fundamental support for people with disabilities, assisting them to lead personally fulfilling lives by supporting them to work, live, and play in their chosen community. And whereas DSPs work tirelessly to build trusted relationships with the people and families they support. And whereas DSPs provide a broad range of individualized supports and person-centered practices that honor and respect people with disabilities. And whereas in September, people with disabilities, family members, and members of the disability community celebrate September 12, 2021 through September 18, 2021 as Direct Support Professional Appreciation Week, as a way to acknowledge the countless contributions of DSPs. And whereas DCBDD wishes to extend our utmost appreciation for the dedication and diligent service DSPs have continued to provide amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas through this week of appreciation, the disability community wishes to raise awareness and advocate for this important and needed profession. And therefore, be it resolved that the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities recognize the critical work of direct support professionals and the contribution they make to our community by supporting Delaware residents to live their lives to the fullest. And be it further resolved that the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities designate the week of September 12, 2021 through September 18, 2021 as Direct Support Professionals Appreciation Week. Do we have a motion to approve the proclamation?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second, please? Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. The proclamation is adopted.
Thank you, Louis, for reading through that.
You're very well. I was going to have Howard, but the glasses, you know. Okay. On to the fun stuff, the 2022 budget.
Okay.
Who's taking this one?
So I will introduce by saying our Finance Committee met last month, and David had reported out to the full board. And I would like to ask David if you had any comments.
Now, as I recall, and I'll let Christine and/or Jared take over as well, this is a very responsible budget planning year and very, very diligently looking into the future. And there were a lot of discussions at the committee level about factoring in our levy projections and our levy planning. So a few questions considered and good conversation had. This comes fully recommended by Finance Committee. That's all I had.
Any questions from anybody, any other board members? Jared can answer. Jared's here to answer any questions you might have.
I just wanted a clarification here. So it's looking like this budget is laid out to start to eat into our fund balance, right? With the $1.4 million essentially deficit. So we're starting to kind of, okay, fair. I mean, that's what I assumed. And it all looks as we have discussed. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, please.
To the 0.1%, right?
Say that again?
That 1.4 million, does that equate to the 0.1 reduction that we're doing? Or is that separate? Different.
Oh, the levy rollback?
Never mind.
Is that what you mean?
Different.
I think he was asking about the rollback.
The rollback.
The levy, the 0.1 reduction, and
Yeah.
how this relates to that, if it does.
It does.
It does.
That rollback reduced our revenues. And so now our revenues are lower than our expenditures. Like Louis was saying, now we're starting to eat into that fund balance throughout the levy cycle.
But this does not represent the 1%, does not represent that 1.4 million number. We're talking, capital expenditures here a little bit.
So all, that is inside of this budget?
Correct.
Yes.
But there's other things.
Yeah, other things within that.
Yes.
Okay. Other questions regarding the budget? And we're looking to approve, right? And we're actually going to take a vote. Okay. Are we going to do a roll call vote on it? Okay. Any other questions regarding the budget? Okay. All right, then we're going to go ahead and do a roll call a roll call vote regarding the approval of the budget. To approve that budget. All right, so go ahead and roll call.
Louis Barwick,
Yes.
Howard Heffelfinger,
Yes.
David Mosher,
Yes.
Steve Finney,
Yes.
Ted Klecker,
Yes.
Dennis Mallon.
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. The budget is approved. Board CCA funds letter. Chris, are you going to handle this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So as a lot of you will remember at our June board meeting, you authorized me to sign a CCA program funding agreement for a home in Powell. And so right now what we need are resolutions in order to make sure the pass-through funds could go from us to Summit Housing. So again, it's none of our money, it's just pass-through funds for this home or Summit Housing that will support the people that we serve. And then the total amount of this will be $243,000. So in order to make this a reality, we will need 2 resolutions. Actually, it looks like
3. Okay, so we'll just do them in order, one at a time. Any questions regarding this, the CCA funds, the use, Summit Housing? Okay, we're on. Very good. Then we'll start with the first resolution to increase the estimated resources for, what is that, Fund 2951900-4530 for the pass-through of the CCA funds to Summit House, SHDC, I'll just use the letters. Is there a motion to approve that resolution? Thank you. Is there a second, please? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. The motion carries. The second resolution being to increase the supplemental appropriations for Fund 2951900-5601 for the pass-through of the CCA funds to SHDC. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. And the third resolution to approve Superintendent Hodge to approve the expenditure in the amount of $243,000 to pass the CCA funds through to SHDC. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you, Dennis. Is there a second? Thank you. And all in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Okay. Looks like we got some renovations. LOI, letter of intent. Chris?
So the next action item is regarding a letter of intent from Summit Housing for property on Shelbourne Forest Way, and they are seeking this grant again. That is just a pass-through grant for us, and this will be removing old flooring and carpeting and installing the vinyl plank flooring through the entire property. And the amount of the funds request is $11,850. Again, this is a pass-through grant.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that were on the board when we made the decision to go with Summit Housing, this has been an excellent partnership. We have not had to pay for any reservations or renovations or new homes. And so remarkably, they continue to do the good work and access the funds from DODD.
I can't tell you the difference. I mean, well, you know, for those of you that were here, the difference with our old housing board and this, it's night and day. I'm sorry. It's just absolutely fabulous. So
and the
they're
people
doing great
we
work.
support benefit greatly from
Yes.
the renovations that have happened in the new homes that we've been able to acquire through Summit Housing.
The quality,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yes. So, okay. So we need a resolution to authorize Chris to enter into the letter of intent for the renovations to the Shelbourne property. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. The motion carries. Okay, and on to the accessibility grant that we heard about up there at Alum Creek. Any questions regarding this? We've got the request for, the grant request is $3,000. They're coming up with $17,000.
Just a comment, and then
Yeah.
the theme goes as well, it sounds like. I'm a frequent visitor of the Below Dam Recreation Area,
Yeah.
and my jaw dropped today when I was reviewing my board packet and realized that the restroom facilities there were so not inclusive, not accessible. So, and this is our neighbor right down the road literally, so it seems like a pitch-perfect reason to grant the request.
Great. Any other comments or questions regarding the accessibility grant? Okay, then we'll move to a motion. So we'll entertain a motion to approve the grant as presented. Thank you. Is there a second, please? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. Accessibility grant granted. That's great. Okay, Innovative Technology Solution Grant Overview.
Okay, so DODD has put out a grant opportunity for county boards and other interested parties regarding innovative technology solutions. And so Ann Flannery and I talked about this, and we would like to apply for this grant. So Ann and her team have created a grant proposal, which in order for us to apply for the grant, we would need board approval prior to our application. So what we're looking at here is to increase supportive technology and remote support education and awareness, and to help remove barriers for people interested in accessing supportive technology and remote support. So right now, we have
Great.
7 people, I believe, in Delaware County that use remote supports, and we really believe we could have a lot more. It's just a hard decision to make for people, but we also know there's a DSP workforce crisis, so this really could be an option, and so we would like to apply for this grant with the hopes of really introducing remote supports to the people we serve in Delaware County and their families. You can see in the grant outline how we've looked at the cost. The total amount we would request is $40,000. If you have any questions, Ann is here, and she can answer any specific questions. If this is just at the point where we would like to apply for the grant, and we're hopeful.
Any questions regarding the Innovative Technology Solutions Grant? Okay, then we'll entertain a motion to authorize the submission of the grant on behalf of the board. Okay, is there a motion to that effect? Thank you, Dennis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. The motion carries. Bulletin boards, policy.
Okay, so we have a series of policies tonight. This policy here only has one minor wording change. We inserted a word in the second paragraph.
In. Wow, that makes all the difference, let me tell you.
And that's it.
Okay. Any questions regarding in? Okay. We'll entertain a motion to approve the modified.
Capital,
Is that a cap? No, it is all lowercase. Okay, all right, so we're good there? Okay. So, thank you. Is there a second to approve the bullet? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Closure delay policy.
Okay, just a little more into this policy, we added a purpose statement, which says the policy provides guidance for how employees will be notified and paid during an operational delay or closure. There's an addition there into, if I shall make the decision to close operations in whole or in part as warranted by the circumstances. So if you remember several years ago, it was like regarding weather and it was calamity days. We now realize there's other things that happen. The other good thing about the fact that we can work remote is that we can work remote. So it is nice that as we think about how this goes on further, the actual need to close or delay hopefully is much less. So there's a little bit of words there, change, and but really no meaningful changes as far as the impact of the policy.
Any questions regarding the modified policy for closure and delay? Okay, then we'll entertain a motion to approve the modified policy.
second.
Thank you. There's a second. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. The motion carries. Okay. Electronic equipment policy.
And I forgot to say at the outset of all these policies, we have had the prosecutor's office look at all of the policies closely, and a couple of them more than once. So these all have prosecutor review and approval. Electronic equipment policy, we have some additions there you can see, just some rewording. We talk about, in the second paragraph under policy, to create, download, upload, and transmit, that is all prohibited. Little minor wording changes throughout.
Right.
We added board-issued cell phones on number 9 regarding what we cannot do is attempt to access another employee's board-issued cell phone. And then we have here a statement that says all electronic equipment monitoring must be approved by the superintendent and director of operations business manager. All electronic equipment access must be approved by the superintendent or director of operations business manager. And what we really are trying to do is make sure that people just can't just request access to see different things, so that we can prove that. So, for instance, if we have email that we need to monitor, we make sure that that's approved ahead of time, those kinds of things.
Any questions regarding the electronic equipment policy? Okay, then we'll entertain a motion to approve the policy as amended. Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Okay. And property damage policy.
So this policy, there's just some minor wording revisions here. It talks about how we reimburse for damage to personal property that occurs while working, and that all claims need to be submitted to the superintendent. Claims of over $200 will require board approval. So if something's damaged during, through work, that is a personal property. And anything over 200 would go to the board.
Okay. I can't even, what does this even? Has anything ever come up on this?
You know, in other county boards, you know, you could have your glasses crushed, you know.
Oh, okay.
If somebody takes your glasses or, you know, things like that.
I see, okay, gotcha. Okay. Any questions regarding the employee property damage policy? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the policy as revised. Thank you. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Limitations on use of medical information.
Okay, so, there's a purpose statement in here that wasn't here before, to define how DCBDD collects and maintains employee medical information as well as when medical information shall be released. So that is the purpose of the policy, and that is the only revision.
Any questions regarding this policy? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the limitations of use of medical information policy as revised.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second, please? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Personnel files and records.
Okay, so we've added a purpose statement. This policy explains what information is included in an employee's personnel, the information that exempted and/or in a public records request, and the right of an employee to inspect their personnel file. So that is a purpose statement that is added. There's a few little other changes in red you can see.
Yes.
A little bit of inclusive language where we can insert inclusive language in that last paragraph.
Gender neutral, sure.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions regarding the personnel files and records policy?
Yeah, I wonder if there's just a few words missing from the purpose statement. It wasn't reading right to me. The first part, this policy explains what information is included in an employee's personnel
File, record,
record.
yes.
And then the second part, and then the rest is fine. The second part, the information that
Is exempted
exempted
and/or
from disclosure, that is exempted from disclosure and/or
in a public records request.
subject to disclosure in a public records
okay.
request?
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that, and then the rest was fine. Trying to read it again and
Yeah,
again.
we can add some language in there that makes
Yeah.
that more readable.
I think I understand what the intent is.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of word salad.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll insert in an employee's personnel record, comma, the information that
Is exempted
Is exempted.
from disclosure, right?
disclosure.
And or what? Subject
To
to
disclosure
in a
in
public
a public records
request.
request.
I think we got that. I see Debbie taking it.
You got her?
So I think
Okay,
we're good.
okay. Yeah, that sounds
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
Humoring me.
Okay. Any other wordsmithing? Okay.
No.
Then we'll entertain a motion to approve, as noted with those revisions, the personnel files and records policy.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Political activity. How fun.
So you saw a couple versions of this and
Yes.
questions asked. So this is the most recent version as approved by the prosecutor's office.
Any questions regarding the revisions to the political activity policy? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the revised policy. Thank you. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Solicitation and distribution policy.
Okay, so purpose statement, to establish, so we're going to change that right there.
I was gonna say it if you weren't.
I got it. To establish guidelines that protect employees, people serving guests at DCBDD from unwanted solicitation and distribution of information. So we'll make that revision in the first statement. The policy, DCBDD prohibits the solicitation, distribution, and posting of materials on agency property by any employee or non-employee. And then there's two other here. At the end, violation of this policy should be reported to the superintendent, human resources manager, or the director of operations / business manager, and may result in
Any questions regarding the solicitation and distribution policy?
Have we ever had a case of that?
well, not during COVID. Not during COVID. We've never, to my recollection, had anybody come into the building off-site, but we have had incidents prior to COVID of a little bit of solicitation and, people bringing in different things for people to purchase, that kind of thing.
No Avon calling at DCBDD.
And if I remember right, the conversation with the prosecutor's office, if you allow one, you have to allow everything, and so that's why we had to put this policy in place. So if we want to purchase Girl Scout cookies from someone's child, but then somebody else, so you have to apply it equitably, so that's why we had to put the policy in place when we first initiated it.
Okay. All right. Any other questions regarding the solicitation and distribution policy? All right, then we'll entertain a motion to approve the amended policy. Is there a motion? Yep. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Unlawful discrimination and harassment policy.
So, this policy just has a few revisions. I think it's on the third page. When DCBDD is notified of the alleged harassment, the complaint will be investigated in a timely manner. Just a little bit of word rearranging. And there's inclusive language, item 6. And that would be all.
Great. Any questions regarding the discrimination and harassment policy? Seeing none, then we'll entertain a motion to approve the policy as revised. Thank you. Is there a second, please? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Equipment. DCBDD, well, it's different now. Property and privacy, I guess, right?
Right.
We did the name here. Okay.
So the revised policy would read use of DCBDD property and privacy. So this policy governs how DCBDD property provided to employees and privacy at DCBDD shall be conducted for the purposes and businesses of DCBDD.
Any questions regarding the use of DCBDD property and privacy policy? Okay. Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the modified policy. Is there a motion to that effect, please? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. The motion carries. Whistleblower policy.
So there's very little bit of language change here. There's inclusive language, the use of pronouns, and a few other minor wording. No substantial change in the policy.
Any questions regarding whistleblower policy? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the policy as revised. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. The motion carries. Workers' compensation policy?
We have a purpose statement. This policy outlines the workers' compensation process for DCBDD employees who are injured during work hours. And we have changed into some inclusive pronouns.
Okay.
And that is all.
Any questions? We'll entertain a motion to approve the modified workers' compensation policy. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. The motion carries. Violence-free workplace policy?
Okay, so we have a little bit of revisions on this. In the section prohibited acts of violence, number 1, causing physical injury to another person, including but not limited to hitting and or shoving. There's another one, number 4, aggressive or hostile behavior that creates a reasonable fear of injury or emotional distress. There's a couple other new things there. Using language which is offensive or derogatory and diminishes a person's dignity and self-esteem. And then number 9, committing acts motivated by or related to sexual harassment or domestic violence.
Any questions regarding the violence-free workplace policy? Entertain a motion to approve the policy as revised. Thank you. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. The motion carries. All right, very good. And we're on to the superintendent's report.
Hey, we've had a really busy month. It felt like we just blinked and it was, September board meeting. So just a few things to note. Next week is not only DST Appreciation Week, it's also National Disability Voter Registration Week. So we have two things we're celebrating. We're going to the commissioners on Monday, and we'll be celebrating both with the commissioners. And also we have tomorrow a radio show where Ann and I will be going and talking about National Disability Registration Awareness Week and our DSP Appreciation Week and our Calamity. We'll be doing all that. So there's a lot that goes inside all of that, and I'll put that in my board update for you. We started our Discovery Series, launches September 14th, so every year we do this. And the first topic's going to be charting the life course, so that's coming up. And we also have our Delaware County Fair coming up, September 18th to the 26th. And we are currently evaluating our level of participation. So for those of you that have gone to the fair in years that were not COVID, we always manned our booth with a couple people. We saw lots and lots and lots and lots of people. It's a great event. And this year what we believe that we're going to do is not man the booth. And we will do check-ins with the booth and make sure that we have a lot of information there and signage and giveaways, and that we have a schedule of check-ins. But we're really a little concerned with almost 8,000 cases today, what we're walking into. We've had COVID here. We have COVID with some of our employees' families, and we have COVID with the people we support. We currently have 2 people that are in intensive care, the people we serve, who are not doing well at all. And so one of the things we're most concerned about with our employees is the fact that we see people every day. And even though we are using precautions, we always have to remember that we serve the most fragile people. And so we have to make decisions accordingly. So we've had a lot of very difficult discussions about this, but we don't think that it's in the best interest when we think about who we serve, that we actually are there on site. And so that's kind of what we're working towards right now. It's a daily discussion that we think about, but we want to find a way and to be able to reach out, but to be very mindful. If you go to our booth, you will know that there is almost no airflow. It is packed. It is just really something else. So it's not like at First Friday, when you go and you're out in the open and you could have a little more air, a little more freedom, a little more space with people. At the fair, it's really a rough situation. So just let the board know kind of where we're at with that.
And Chris, could we possibly do, if somebody walks up to your booth, can we have, due to COVID, please call this number if you have questions or something. Can we have somebody like man a phone here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I just think our job is to get the word out. And
yep.
If the word means somebody picking up their cell phone and making a call, because you don't want to put pen and paper there, because again, you're just copying code from one person to the next person or whatever the case may be. So maybe call this number or talk to us about it or something like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We actually have SSA on call and supervisor on call, and a lot of our cell numbers are very common and published, so we can absolutely do that. Because our goal is, this is a very hard decision. We want to absolutely be there. We want to absolutely be able to answer questions. We meet so many people at this event. It's a huge event for us. But I cannot tell you how disturbing it is to see here what's happening, and we have to do our part to mitigate. And so we can absolutely do what you're suggesting. We already have some signage that we're developing as we're trying to get through this, and we can absolutely put a cell phone in more than one.
I just think that way people still got the opportunity to call, and
yep.
You still can get names and numbers and things like that if people want to talk about it. So.
Absolutely, thank you.
It's a great idea, Dan.
Any other thoughts or comments?
Is it back to normal this year, the fair,
yes.
or are there any?
It's back to normal.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It is. At least as of today, September 9th.
Right.
Right.
And it starts on the 18th.
It starts next week, right?
Yeah, it starts on the 18th.
On the 18th, right.
So we've got, 9 days to see what happens. We know what the city of Columbus has done. They've mandated masks.
Right. There's a difference too between being outside of the fair and being inside. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Me too.
The
Yeah.
buildings are.
They're tight.
Yeah. Done that they're still having booths.
Yes. Without COVID, it's tight, it's hot, and it's kind of oppressive, but we all do it because it's a great event and we love it, and no one has a problem with it. So with COVID, you are very, very close. There is no ventilation. We actually bring a fan, which now we think we're like, if we bring a fan, we're just spreading it all around. You get so many people. I mean, so that's the good part and that's the bad part right now. So we'll definitely decide what cell number or numbers to put on a sign. We're going to put signage up to communicate, like, sorry we missed you, those sorts of things. And we were going to have giveaways, and we're going to have people checking in 3 to 4 times a day. So, like, our leadership team, actually, the people who see in this room here, we're going to be going in and making sure things are okay and monitoring it throughout the entire time of the fair. Any other questions on that before I move on? All right. I have a lot going on in human resources. Follow my board updates. It seems like I'm always telling you something more. We have Heidi Hackworth, who was an SSA, who accepted an SSA supervisor position. Karen Lewis, who was an EI supervisor, accepted her behavior support specialist position. Christy Schauber, who's an SSA supervisor, accepted the EI supervisor position. Roberta Zeller-Carr, who was an SSA, accepted the investigative agent position. And so that's a lot of internal promotions, and we're very proud of that, and we feel like we have really great people, so we're very happy about all that movement. We have an SSA coming in, Eric Cowan. She's starting on September 20th, so I had 6 vacancies, now I have 5, so we're working through that in the SSA department. So we're scheduling interviews for those vacancies. We still have our part-time outreach advocate posting. We extended that to get more applications. We do have an SSA supervisor posting because Christy Schauber, who was the supervisor, went to early intervention. So we are hoping for more internal qualified candidates to help us through that. And if that wasn't enough for human resources, open enrollment for health insurance begins very soon. So we're real busy there. So programs and services, we did receive 3 proposals from our request of interest from our last board meeting regarding behavior support services. So a team of people have created a scoring form, and we'll be looking at those applications and making a decision, hopefully, for our next board meeting to make a recommendation. In addition to the COVID cases that I told you, we have 1 residential site with 4 people that live there that have COVID in the home, and the HPC staff is quarantining with them. We delivered PPE. That residential site also has an adult day site, and they closed as well until next week. So if you remember what things were like back last, late fall, early winter, we are beginning to see it now, and it is very intense. We are going back to some of our other practices with regard to how we contact people and our sense of urgency regarding COVID awareness and what we do for folks is very heightened again.
Does the prosecutor's office consider extending the Zoom meeting kind of thing?
It's really the state of Ohio. So the state of Ohio has not yet. And so if the state of Ohio does it, we will, we'll be talking with all of you. So yeah, we're us and all other public boards are currently in a situation where we're meeting, in person like this. So I can't even tell you if we actually have an SEC meeting tomorrow, so I'll hear if there's an update or if there's any language floating around about allowing virtual meetings, while we go through COVID again.
You mean still?
I'm sorry?
You mean still?
Yeah.
Not
still.
again.
Well, it feels like, we had like June and July, we had this little bit
there was
of
a reprieve, I know.
A reprieve,
I know.
like 100 and some cases a day, and now we're,
Yeah.
It's incomprehensible.
Yes.
It really is. All right, so operations, they begin the master contract cycle after the board passed it, and we're going to be using electronic signature process for providers, so we're really excited about that. That really helps the process for them. So we're very happy about that. We continue with on-site attendance of all staff that have private offices, and so that's administrators, and there's a lot of staff that do private offices depending on the functions, like in fiscal and staff and all those sorts of things. But we do have, like we said before, Team A and Team B alternating weeks. So you're in the office a week and then you're remote for a week. But no matter where you are, you're still at this point expected to see people and do everything that we would do if you were in the office until if things have to shift. We're not there yet. Okay, So we are making some changes with regard to when our employees have children who are positive for COVID. So you do know that the schools, this is a massive situation right now. So we have some staff who have children who are positive or have children who are exposed. And so if a staff member has a child that's exposed and they have to stay home, we're allowing them to work remotely until that time that quarantine is over. So we are, we're working our rules with what we're dealing with right now and trying to help people work and keep working. However, if their child is sick or they have to provide child care, they cannot work at that time. So again, we're working through this case by case, but staff understand and the supervisors understand where we're at with this. Quality and project development, so in Melinda's area, we are onboarding a new investigative agent as Craig moved on to be an SSA supervisor. We revised our on-call process for the agency, and we just put that out not long ago. So we always have on-call responsibilities for health and safety through the SSA department and SSA supervisors, but the IAs, there's no mandate for them to be on call, and it sometimes confuses the issue. So we've just streamlined our process, and staff are aware, and we're moving forward on that. We're creating a collaborative interagency work group. We're really, really excited about this. So we have Ann staff and Melinda staff in the SSA departments, and they're developing training, or developing a program to train and develop Delaware County providers. And so what we're looking at is through all the processes we do, that there is a lack of understanding with certification, planning, incident reports, MUI reporting, compliance reviews. There's a lot of things that really could be done a lot better. So our group here, we're going to work together and create a training for providers to help them. This will help us. By empowering them and teaching them more closely, we're kind of doing more than we've ever done with providers, but there is an immense need, and to be honest, this is the exact role that DODD wants us to be in. So we're working through that, and we'll keep you updated. It's probably going to be quite a process, but I think we've got the right people in the right place to do that. Administrative, obviously, from what you're hearing from me, we're evaluating the COVID impact daily on our operations, on the people and families served, and it's right in front of our minds all the time. Social service campus, interesting. We had our first schematic design meeting this week, and that was on Tuesday. And we'll be doing a series of meetings with each county administrator, so like it would be me and JFS and the mental health board. And we're working together regarding specific design options. So we're beginning that process. Mike Brummer is now done with the county. There is not yet a county administrator named. So myself and Bobby Anderson and Deanna Brandt from the different departments are working closely with the architects and with John Melvin, who's the director of facilities for the county. And so we're just kind of pushing through and trying to look at what we can do here. We don't want to drop the project. We want to keep it moving. As I talked about in our meeting over there, met with Beth Chambers on Friday. She's our manager for regional support at DODD, talking about OISP, behavior support, and all those different things. So we have a great relationship. We're working on training programs, and her helping us out, and us helping them as well with what we know. And lastly, King and I did meet with our probate court administrator and court investigator regarding eligibility, county board services, rights restrictions, human rights. We're doing a lot of work with other entities that work with us to help them understand why we need to change and what we're changing, and so that was a big step for us, and that was a great meeting. So I'm sure we'll be back there. Yes. I will get this to you all. So there's a lot more detail in it than I read. Any questions?
Okay. No questions. We'll move on to the enrollment report.
All right. Our enrollment report. We have a net increase of 10. And if you look down here. We had 46 people who left our services, but we had far more than entered, obviously. We have 942 waivers. Any questions?
Questions? Okay. Moving on to the personnel report.
Okay, personnel report in front of you here. We have on our changes, let's move on. Okay, I guess I was talking too much. And our changes, we have Ben Reed Miller, who left and went to Clark County DD out of where he lives. That's where we found Derek. So it all kind of worked out even.
Even?
Yep.
No, we got the good end of that deal.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Alicia DeMalt, who was an IA, is now in quality assurance. You've met Derek and you've met Mike, and those were personnel changes.
Any questions? Seeing none, we will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. I have one document for you. Everything else
Yeah,
will be
great. Electronic
e-signed.